the sham of voting rights reform. Hillary's campaign has brought a series of actions through intermediaries in states around the country, in swing states, with a view toward reforming their election laws so as to encourage other people to vote, maximize turnout, and decrease the number of Americans who don't participate in elections. Well, some of her proposals are reasonable. It's reasonable to have weekend voting before the Tuesday election. That's completely reasonable. Early voting makes sense if it's at the polling place without any change in registration procedures. But there are two changes that are the major changes that are both outrageous. One of them is really designed to create voter fraud. It says that you should have same-day registration, which a handful of states have now. You're not registered to vote. You show up at the polls. You produce identification, which in most cases does not have to include photo ID. You register right then and there, and you vote. No checking, no investigating, nothing. Now, I think that it's okay for that procedure to be followed in states with photo ID requirements, because then you can easily check if it's duplicate, and you can make sure it's not counterfeit, and you can sign them up. I have no brief for the system. You go one day to register and a few weeks later to vote. But without photo ID, which Hillary's people, of course, oppose, this is an absolute invitation to fraudulent voting. And remember the study that took place in North Carolina, where they found that 75,000 North Carolinians voted in North Carolina on Election Day in 2012. And those names were the same first and the same last name and the same birth date as other voters who had cast votes in other locations in the same election. And what that means, basically, is that when you move from New Jersey to North Carolina, they don't delete you from New Jersey. So they bring an illegal immigrant or someone in who says he's you, and there's no photo ID requirement, and he votes in New Jersey. Allegedly, you've cast 2 votes. In fact, you only cast 1. With that system and that fraud going on, to have same-day registration is the equivalent of essentially opening the polls to anyone who wants to vote however many times they want to vote. The second requirement that Hillary's people are pushing, or change, is to permit remote voting, where essentially there's a mail-in ballot. And this basically eliminates the secret ballot, because what happens is that Democratic Party workers go to areas where their vote are tended to be concentrated, nursing homes or Indian reservations or community centers in minority areas, and they sit there and say, come on over and vote in the election. And they vote, but they vote under the watchful eye of the guy running the vote, and you can bet that that has to be a Democratic ballot for them to get away with it. And then they bring in these ballots or mail them into the election boards, and they're 100% Democrat. And it essentially eliminates the secret ballot. Back in the earlier days of our country, there was no secret ballot. There would be a Democratic table and a Republican table, and you would walk to one or to the other and cast your ballot in full view of the neighbors. And the secret ballot was instituted to stop coercion. But now, under the guise of making voting more convenient and permitting earlier voting and permitting people in institutions and other places to vote, they're basically eliminating the secret ballot. And very often, at the end of the balloting, there are sandwiches and other gifts that are given to people. It was just revealed, by the way, that Hillary gave away 93,000 snow shovels in Iowa, basically as thanks for people voting for her. This system could be easily corrupted, and Hillary is doing her best to do it.